Yes, yes, yes. What is up, everybody? Joshua Casper here with Plugin Boutique and Beatport and Loop Masters and Loop Cloud. Today, we are broadcasting everywhere because we want to get everybody involved with today's stream. It's an extra special one. It is the third annual Black Friday stream between myself and my esteemed guest, Rob Jones from Producertech. I'm just going to give... you're not quite on yet, buddy. I am going to be doing a bunch of giveaways today, and to be entered to win those, you just need to be active in the Plugin Boutique YouTube chat. So as I said, we're broadcasting to Beatport's YouTube, Loop Masters YouTube, the Twitch, the Facebooks, everywhere. If you're in any of those places, please come over to the Plugin Boutique YouTube. It's Plugin Boutique Official on YouTube, and all you need to do is just be a positive force in the chat to be able to win the plugins. We're going to be giving away 10 plugins today, so lots of chances to win. Fire your questions away just at Plugin Boutique in the chat, and we'll try to get them answered on the stream. And it's just going to be a laid-back sort of thing. We've got some demos lined up. Every plugin we talk about, we're going to be giving a copy away. It's going to be a good time. I hope everybody's Black Friday is going swell, and I hope everybody's upcoming holidays goes even better. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring on today's guest, Mr. Rob Jones.
Hello there.
How are you, Rob?
Very good. And yourself?
I'm okay. I'm excited about this. As you know, everybody else doesn't know, but my mouse died, of course, 5 minutes before the stream, it felt like, and I had to reset the computer and get everything reset up. So I was a little bit nervous, but it seems like we are good to go at the moment.
I think so.
Yeah,
my mic arm fell off as well. Don't forget that. That was quite a stressful moment.
These live streams
Lights
are not
down.
easy. We make them look easy, but they are not easy. But how are you? How is things in Germany?
Good. It got cold. Got cold really quickly. So we had snow. We had like several days of snow and ice.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, but also, as a person who grew up in snow, terrible at the same time. So how are you faring with the snow?
Well, you know, it always takes a minute to acclimatize.
Yeah.
But no, good. I like it. It was frosty at first, but no, I've got into it now. But now it's gone back to 6 degrees or something, so it's balmy.
Yeah. I mean, break the shorts back out. I don't even know what we're doing anymore. You are obviously the head of what's called Producertech. Can you tell the people a little bit about yourself, Producertech, and maybe what's going on for Black Friday on the Producertech side of things?
Yeah, so I think, well, hopefully some of you may know me already. I run Producertech, which is an online music production academy affiliated with Loop Masters, but now, you know, all you guys as well. But we've been running for about 13, 14 years now, long time. I've been creating courses from the start, but we've also worked with other artists making courses, really good producers. They've just got better and better. We've got like, you know, Paul Maddox has been with us from the start. More recent additions, Simon Shackleton, Ellie Dixon, amazing musician, Ja Funk, really good producer, to name but a few. So there's loads of great people on there. What was the other question? Yeah, you can come to our site. You can buy individual courses. And obviously right now is an amazing time to do that with the Black Friday discounts. You can also buy bundles. There's a whole music production bundle actually that's got a lot of my core courses on production techniques like EQ fundamentals, compression fundamentals, all this kind of thing. So I fully recommend that. We're also doing some offers on our membership, which is the subscription for Producertech. So you get access to all courses. You also get free bonus content every week, which sometimes it's extra tutorials that are recommended by people in the community. Sometimes it's downloads. It might be an activity. This week it's a new activity. And we do these kind of activities in between remix comps. So we also do regular remix comps just for our members for really great prizes. So you get loads if you're a member. You don't just get all of the courses. You get free stuff every week, and you get like a fully engaged community to access as well.
You're saying activities. What's an example? Maybe what's going on right now? What is an activity at Producertech?
Yeah, so the one this week, well, in the past we've had things like arrangement activity, when I've been making courses on arranging and all that sort of thing. So it's giving you a kind of, that one, for example, was you had a few samples to select, and you had to build an arrangement with as few samples as possible to kind of get over the concept that you don't need many sounds to make a great track. So you kind of put the bare bones in place using just a couple of ideas, say, and you make sure those ideas are really solid, and the sections of the track are really well defined. So that was like the arrangement one. We've had mixing challenges, where you have sessions, you have to mix them and then get as creative as you like, but send them in. And all these are for like prizes as well. The one this week is called AI Apocalypse, I believe, and it's actually based around a Soul Rush Records vocal pack called AI Vocal Confessions, with people. It's a whole pack of recordings in the style of, I guess, Alexa and Siri and so on, but with the AI kind of nihilistic style, kind of messed up stuff. All coming from the mind of AI. So yeah, the latest activity this week, just to fill the gap between the last remix comp, which just finished, and the one coming at the start of next year, is to make a track, like an apocalyptic track based around these AI samples.
Saucy.
Quite a fun one.
It. Did you say specifically what sort of promotion you have running right now? I know you mentioned there's some bundles. I think Plugin Boutique is involved. Loop Cloud might be involved. But is there like some sort of discount to check out the subscription area on Producertech?
Yeah. There's 2 months for £2, I believe is the main monthly offer. And this never includes the free trial at the moment, which at the moment the free trial is 2 weeks. So when you get 2 months free, you actually get 10 weeks free, or for £2 rather. So yeah, so it's a serious deal. And the other one is the half price on the annual. So you get a year of learning for £50. Crazy. $49.99.
Yeah, I'm thinking of how much I paid to go to art school and wishing I just had Producertech at that time.
Yeah.
So that's enough chit chat. I'm really excited today. You've got a bunch of demos lined up for us. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to be getting into here in a second?
Yeah, so we've got 2 projects. I like to kind of keep it a bit varied. So we've got one around 1:30 or so. It's kind of a breaksy, housey style. And then the other one's going to be building up a slightly more melodic, I guess, trap kind of groove. Do you want me to mention the plugins, or is just going to be revealed as we go?
Well, I think we're going to flip over to Ableton Live right now, and I guess we can just jump right in. I think we almost keep it a secret and just name drop some plugins as you begin to show them. Keep the kids interested, as they say.
Yeah, cool.
So what's up first?
Right. So yeah, this is session 1 here. I can just get rid of these tracks for the time being. Jump over to Loop Cloud. So what I thought I'd show in Loop Cloud, just because it's it's not the average way of using Loop Cloud, but it shows you what it can do. It also shows you some of the new features that have just kind of come out, and just maybe inspires you to use it in a different way. So hello. So what I've got here is this is a session, which is when the session, as they call them, by the way, this is now up in the file menu here. You've got new session, load recent session, etc. It used to all be managed from down the bottom, but now it's done like other software. So down the bottom here, we have a session with all of the tracks in use. And I'm using it to kind of do a bit of sound design. So the first 3 tracks are creating the kick. Because, this is something that you might find yourself doing in quite a lot of projects. If you're making kind of EDM style stuff, say, you might want to layer different samples together. So I've got a kick transient here, just the very start of the sample, and it's got a tight fade on it. The next one up, I've got the body. It's got the very bottom end rolled off, and it's just kind of the middle part here with the start faded as well. And then last up, I got the kind of sub there. I've done the same thing with the snare here. I've got the transient, the kind of body, and then I've got some Foley with a load of effects on here. So if I take off these two for a minute, it's kind of a sound design template that you can just come straight into and make your own kind of fat layered kick and snare. It's something you could do in Loop Cloud Drum, but it's not as easy to do this kind of thing, you know, like getting in and actually dragging these around precisely, adding the fades. You know, you've got a bit more control of that sort of thing.
Can I just say that another thing that I like about doing what you've done here in Loop Cloud is once you have your pattern laid out and even your fades and your effects applied, you can literally just like audition any other sample in the position that you have. Say that snare, I believe we're looking at, or a piece of as percussion.
Yeah. And the reason, this is the kind of other feature that has come out recently. In fact, I didn't even notice this happen. I don't know if you noticed it, but you can now move around the search tabs. Did you notice that one?
I love it.
You must know about that one. Yeah, probably. But so you can move around the search tabs and you can move around the tracks. So you could line them up. And it's exactly what I've done here. I've lined up the search tabs with the session down the bottom. And you might say, well, how do I get these to load up? Well, you can actually do that now in Loop Cloud as well. If I go to the preferences, you've got click to save. And then on startup, you can choose to load my default workspace. So if I save that now, that will save that as the current workspace. And then when you open up Loop Cloud, it won't just load the session, so all the bits down the bottom, but it'll load up all the tabs as well.
Fantastic.
Pretty epic, right?
Hey, Rob, I got a question for you. You mentioned it's 2 months for £2. Is that the same as the deal that Loop Cloud has right now, where you can try Loop Cloud for 2 months for £2 and get Sublab for free? Is that included in that deal, or is that a separate deal?
It's a separate thing. We just thought we'd just match it, yeah, on Producertech.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, great deal though.
Yeah, so anyone who doesn't know or hasn't tried Loop Cloud yet, you can try it right now, all access for 2 months for £2, and you'll also get Sublab, which is a fantastic bass instrument, which I believe you're going to be showcasing in a minute, yeah?
Yeah, we'll move on to that in a sec.
Nice.
Yeah, so just quickly then, just to show you these ones here, these are all collections. So if I want to come in and change any of these sounds, I've actually got a kick transients collection loaded. If you're new to Loop Cloud and you don't know about it, you know, you can right click and you can add things to collections, any samples that you search for. You can create a new collection or just add it to an existing one. So these are like playlists. Yeah, and then once you've got these, you can just, you know, change up my kick transient quite
Hey, Rob.
quickly. Yeah.
Can we pop over to the listen to and see how long the latency is? I mean, you're doing some very quick start and stops, and it's kind of delayed, I feel like.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you see you're at 0.5 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Let's pull that down.
2.2
is fine, probably. And let's change the quality there to 320.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's give the people what they want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Don't sound like a totally crunched MP3. Okay, let's try that again then. So listen to the transients as I change the sample. Is that better?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, nice. Cool. So yeah, so you can come in, you know, have this session load up instantly when you load up Loop Cloud, and then just quickly change any of the sounds. You know, come in with the snare. We could do the same. Go to the snare body here. That was nice. There you go. Maybe change the Foley. So yeah, this Foley's got some delay, reverb, bit of EQ. I come into my Foley list here. So this is just me searching this time. It's not a collection. I'm searching for Foley one-shots that are shorter than 1.2 seconds. You do all this in the audio filters sections where the attributes live, and with a short attack to make sure, you know, it's relatively punchy. And yeah, let's switch out our quite nice. And there you go. And then on the end here, I've just got some interesting chopped up loops. So we got this. Again, it's if we take the effects off, you can see I've just cut out the bits at the start of every beat. And I've added a load of effects on there, a bit of filter. Bit of EQ, again, delay. This is just like a very short Haas style delay, just to give it some width and a bit of percussion as well. And again, you can just come in, change out the sample. I feel like it needs actually to be a little bit more raucous. Should we add some tone box? Tone box is a really good... kind of ruined it, actually. Let's go for a different one. Yeah, it's nice. There you go. You just come in, have all your samples kind of ready to go in lists. You know, you've got some of these are just gigantic searches as well. Like there's 25,000 samples in there. So you can scroll away to your heart's content and come up with something totally unique.
25,000. And where is the 25,000? It's just closed hi-hats?
Just closed hi-hats. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, when you do open searches like that for popular kind of sounds, then, you know, it comes up with insane. You realize how big the Loop Masters library is. It's big. It's real big. Yeah, if you use the attributes to kind of narrow things down, then obviously it can get smaller. If you just really focus in on certain parts of the frequency spectrum, certain length, you know, envelope parameters and so on, then it will get a bit smaller. But yeah, so probably enough on Loop Cloud, isn't it? If you want to get all these samples out, by the way, once you've done your browsing, if you're new to Loop Cloud, if you're doing this in the store as opposed to My Sounds, of course, you can do it with your own samples as well, or kind of mix and match depending on what your sample library is like. But if you do it all in store, then you can just buy any samples you don't own there for just a few points. And then clicking on the export button here, you can choose how you want to export things. So we want to do process separate files. And then when you click on that, you can see you can drag out 8 loops. So everything here will be a loop. This kick will be like a 2-beat long loop, depending on the grid size you see. And this hat here will be a bar long loop and so on. And you just drag them straight out into your DAW, ready to go.
Nice.
So, yeah. So that's our... I love it. It's kind of tech funky.
I'm really digging the like that synth sound with the filter on it.
Yeah, I wanted a percussion sound, but that's the good thing about, you know, experimenting and using Loop Cloud as a sort of more of a sound design tool. You come up with random stuff and go, yeah. So
happy accidents, my friend.
Yeah. So
it looks like, Rob, for people who don't know, you've got the sound of Loop Cloud coming into Ableton Live somehow.
Yeah, so just to bring this up in a minute, but I'll just play it for a second now so you can hear this. So for anyone who's totally new to Loop Cloud, the Loop Cloud main app is a standalone bit of software, and you can use that completely on its own to come up with grooves, come up with ideas, experiment, do what you like. The only difference when you're not using a DAW is you have complete kind of freedom of the timing in the BPM section here. You can just change that up and down as you like. And of course, the audio routes out of the application like it would any other bit of music software. So you go to the audio preferences and select it there. If you load the Loop Cloud plugin onto a MIDI track, though, in any DAW that's open, then it connects to that DAW and locks to whatever tempo you have set here. So you can't change that anymore. It's now fixed. And yeah, and you can also see when I play it, it's routing onto the track in our DAW here, which can also be really fun when you're you can use it like basically like a sampler. So you can actually play it using MIDI clips on the DAW track here, and then when the audio comes back in, you can process it with different effects on that channel. And yeah, and because it's all synchronized, you can hear it all locks up. So if you want to go and get other loops from Loop Cloud at any point, you can synchronize the programs together really easily and check out loads of different samples and patterns.
Rob, how key is it to your workflow when using Loop Cloud to be able to, so whether or not you've purchased those loops, you can actually still do what we're doing right now, right? We were still hearing that audio before those loops were purchased. Yeah. How key to your workflow is that sort of kind of free experimentation before you commit to using some of your points to buy a sample or sound?
It's a really useful thing to be able to do, to try out all sorts of things. For me, it's a good thing because I tend to build up more comprehensive ideas. So I kind of combine things in Loop Cloud a bit more. Other people might kind of go and try one thing, drag it out earlier. And I know quite a lot of people do use Loop Cloud in that way. I always try and push people to go deeper with it and use it in combination, because it will save you, money in that sense if you try things out first and then drag them out. I know it is kind of a little bit hidden now with this edit switch. It's not encouraging you to use it in one track mode, but click that edit switch, go in and get some multi-track action going, because it's really easy to use, and that's where the magic lies, if you ask me. It's all in these pattern presets and the amount that you can do down here, no matter what it is. Even if you're a beginner trying to get started and you just want, for example, to make a load of house drums, then you can come in to the different drums, kick, house, add a kick on track 1, add a hat on track 2, and so on, and it will just make the loop for you from a one shot, and then you can just drag out the loop into your project and you're ready to go. In fact, I've got a tech house course. If you want to make some tech house and you're a complete beginner, you can check out my tech house with Loop Cloud course. It was made with the previous version, but everything is kind of more or less the same. You just don't have this this massive search tab. This before this version, for anyone who's totally new to Loop Cloud, this was just a box at the top of the main window, and now it's on its own big section here. But other than that, it works the same way. You don't have any of these buttons, so you have to type things yourself, or type things yourself on the old version, or use the menus. But yeah, check out that course, Tech House. It's kind of an hour, 90-minute long course, so it's not a huge amount of time, and it just shows you how you can use Loop Cloud to make the building blocks of a track and then lay them all out simply by knowing how to move audio around music software. So nothing too complex to get you started.
I think the number of user patterns in your preset patterns speaks to how often you do use that. That's impressive.
Yeah, this is the factory section.
So
this is the factory section. This
I
is
see AAA, new AAA perk. What are the...
Yeah, so yeah, that's just when I'm doing an example, when I'm teaching something and I want to show someone a feature. So I'll just have shoved it, into a place where I can then find it easily. So that's the point of these. That's not so. Yeah, I could just jump. I know the alphabet. I should have just. But no, I get some great stuff in here. And a lot of this stuff is either bonus patterns I've made for members, or stuff that comes free with different courses. Gated loops. Gated stuff is actually really useful in Loop Cloud. Oh, you have the ability to make choppy kind of gated loops with things.
Are you allowed to make folders for your presets? Is that what I'm seeing inside of here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the gated stuff, it's going to take you a little while to find a drum loop or find a loop that has a fully sustained sound in it and then gate it. If you're new to production, gating means sort of chopping it into smaller segments. It's quite a classic kind of DJ effect as well. So, nice. For example, if this was a loop here, it would be all of these segments kind of trimmed right down. So there's kind of the loop there and then silence there and so on. And you can trim that as much as you like to make it as tight and choppy as you like. So yeah, I've created this whole ton of gated presets to allow you to grab a loop, instantly gate it and drag it out with different sort of timings and various amounts of swing and stuff like that.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah, so I think I might have to take this percussion off to show you the next instrument now, which is Sublab.
Love Sublab.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll take that off for a minute. So Sublab is great. Let's just get rid of that one and add, I think I've got it in here. Yes. There we go. Just drag it onto.
You just got to drag it and drop it on top of the old one, man. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I could have just reset it. Never mind. So, yeah. So here's the here's the kind of default version. If you just click on New there, so I can show you what Sublab is. It's both a synth and a sampler, as you can see from the kind of options here. If you're new to production, you don't know kind of what sub refers to. Sub is the very low bass. That, you know, is a huge factor in, you know, important part of a lot of styles of production. I mean, even styles where the sub isn't such a prominent feature, like, you know, trap, obviously, that's kind of an example of classic sub bass that you hear a lot.
Yeah.
But sub is the kind of thing that also underpins a lot of tracks. So you'll often kind of double up on your bass line with the sub. But in this case, what we can do is just create a fat bass line that contains sort of amazing, heavy, you know, full sub bass, but also all sorts of other stuff to help it kind of cut through the mix and, you know, be heard on systems that might not be able to pick up those sub frequencies, like
Cell
phones. And
yeah.
yeah,
Where everybody consumes music.
Yeah. So yeah, just to run you through it quickly. This is the.
You got it. I believe it's deactivated in the channel, Rob.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell's going on there? So yeah, so here's the default version. Then this is you've got several different envelopes here. Here's the volume one. So this is just how loud it is over time. So you can see there's our basic kind of sine wave. And if you are listening on a phone, then you probably can't hear that. So, but one of the cool things here is you have this awesome distortion module, which you have to dial in first. So you've got these different kind of symbols to help you understand what's what here. And this one just says how much of this synth do we want to send to the distortion. So you can fine tune that. But if we just ramp it up to max for a minute. So you can hear, you've got all sorts of different kinds of distortion here. You've got overdrive. Serious kind of fat, beefy distortion. That's kind of one huge component to it. Another big part is the fact that you can layer up the synth with a sample. You can select one of the presets, or you can drag in your own one.
Or you can drag and drop right from Loop Cloud as well.
Yeah, totally. So one of these, say, like maybe it's a kick attack here. If I just turn down the synth for a minute so you can hear it. That'll just give you the kind of knocking part of the bass. You can retune it.
I'll tell you, I found that Sublab does a really great job identifying the correct pitch of kick samples, or really any sample you bring into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it does a great job.
Nice. But yeah, if it's not at the correct pitch, then you can retune it here or use the fine tune. You can also send that to the distortion as well if you want. You can also filter it. Let me turn the distortion off for a minute. There's a bit of filter enveloping on there as well, I think. It just gives you a little bit of extra kind of color from the shift there. Mix the bass back in. Yeah, so you can hear actually the difference that sample makes. It's a huge difference in a mix. You know, when you take that in and out, doesn't give you any of those higher frequencies without it, and it kind of, the bass doesn't have quite as much punch or bite and clarity in the mix. And then finally you have this other section which is a separate kind of sub circuit, which allows you to dial even more sub.
Can you ever have enough though, Rob? Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, this is insane. You have you have proper beefy sub on top here, and then harmonics that you can choose as well. So these are kind of pitches up in various related intervals, octave, for example, octaves and fifths, and these are lower level frequencies that you can include in the bass to give it a bit more character. You can also move up and down here to change the relationship of these, so you could just have one harmonic, the third one there. Yeah, it's subtle, but it just changes the character just that little bit. So that's kind of what's going on here. You've also got a compressor as well, so there's quite a lot of features here. And of course, you know, the presets. That's nice. Do it a lot more justice than I can in a moment of designing it. More kind of full-on one there. You get the idea. It's incredibly chunky. I can't believe this is a free plugin.
It's insane. It really is. I mean, I use it on almost every track, I would say, at this point. It's just, the presets are all really, really great. If you're looking for just a pure bass line, it's really, really nice and simple and easy to use. Add to that the drag and drop functionality, whether you're either going for that transient or if you just want to pull in a fatty 808 you found on Loop Cloud. The sustained loop feature inside of the sampler portion I think is really great. It actually shows you if you're on, if you're like in this right crossing. So if you go into the sampler for a second, Rob, and we can show people this, I think it's actually really cool. Throw a sample in there.
Drop one in?
Yeah. Or take one from the presets, whatever you want to
do. Yeah, I'll just go for the presets.
One of the longer ones, I think, is better.
Is there any way of knowing that? Is there one?
Yeah, just throw
one. Do you have one in mind?
Nah, I mean, I don't know them by heart. No.
Quick, there you go.
Just load one. I think we'll be fine.
All right.
But if you turn loop on there at the top, yeah, and then you pull the loop brace over, you can see that if you zoom in, you can actually zoom in inside of that. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So you can see that this says minus plus there next to the loop brace.
Uh-huh.
If you make them both plus plus, it means you're at the same crossover point between the waveforms, and it will give you a cleaner loop.
Right.
So right now it looks
how do I
like
do
you
that?
got.
Do I click on them?
Yeah, I mean you got to bring the loop brace over a little bit. I mean, yeah. So
Oh, right. Yeah. You click on it and it
yeah.
just snaps. Very nice.
Yeah, so if you like brought it over from the left to the right, yeah. So now if you just click and drag over, it'll snap right to the perfect loop length, and then you'll have a sustained note that sounds really good. And if you add a little bit of the X fade.
What's the aim here?
So you want to go to plus plus. Did you not see the plus and the minus next to the loop braces?
Oh, sorry. I thought that was already selected. Yeah. So how do I actually check that though?
Just
Like
move
there?
it over
Like
until it
there.
says
There we go.
plus. Yeah.
Got it. And
But
then does it stay?
as you move it, you're going to be
okay.
changing the position of the frequency. I mean, maybe we're getting a little too involved here, but I love that feature of the sampler in Sublab. It just allows you to make a sustained bass note out of something very short, and it will give you the cleanest loop possible. And if you add a little bit of the X fade, it sounds really, really great. Anyway, really robust bass instrument.
There's the X-fade.
Yeah, that you can get for free for trying out Loop Cloud for 2 months for $2 or £2 rather.
Wicked. Awesome. Well, I fully recommend you do that. I've had loads of fun with Sublab. And yeah, shall we move on to the next batch? We got a few plugins here. Are you with me, Josh?
Yeah, I sure am. I think someone's knocking at my door. So you just keep going. I'm going to see what's up.
Okay. So yeah, the point of this one, I've got a few different plugs in this rack here. And, I thought I'd take some of these incredibly clean and kind of weedy sounds. That one's actually got a little bit more width to it. If I go back to this one, turn on this effects chain. Actually, could use a little bit of compression. It's a bit all over the place level-wise.
Yeah, but it still sounds. It's like night and day. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know.
We've moved on to the Moog plugins, I'm guessing. Yeah.
You can hear them, can you? They've got a very distinctive kind of sound, haven't they? Yeah, and so quite a change. And it's a combination of things. It's using Coldfire, which is the one we're going to look at first, and then a couple of Mooga Fugas that I like to combine together. And you can just hear, actually, if I take off those two for a minute, the combination of the distortion. I mean, the distortion on its own sounds totally amazing, but if you add the phaser as well, I find it just makes it really makes it jump out, makes it super interesting and a little bit daft punky.
I mean, it sounds phenomenal. I just want to point out to everybody who's watching, wherever you are, all the plugins we're talking about today or in demonstrating are available right now on discount for Black Friday on Plugin Boutique. My friend Killian is posting links in the chat. Definitely check them out. You already know what Black Friday is and how we get down, but you're going to want to stock up while you can. These are all absolutely phenomenal plugins. I've done full-length live streams on a lot of them, so if you're hungry for more before you want to commit to buying something, definitely check those out. They're all archived right here on YouTube, so they're all phenomenal, and I highly suggest you check them out if you can. But please do continue, Rob.
Yeah, so this is the first plugin then in my chain. It's called Coldfire by Arturia, and yeah, it's a pretty seriously comprehensive distortion tool. And yeah, to start with, it's a dual kind of engine one, and you have a huge amount of different options for the distortion. And if I just select a new preset here, you can see you've got, the moment it's set in parallel, by the way, so we can create two different sounds and then blend between them. If I just turn off that one for the minute though, or just put the crossfader over, so we're just listening to this one, you can hear just a few of the different types. So we got kind of more raucous stuff like, you know, proper wave shaping or wave folding. Maybe just turn this down a touch. And all of these, by the way, have different subtypes sort of within them. So you've got sine and all sorts of different ones here. And yeah, so really kind of full-on ones, bit crushing, bit inverting, which is quite an interesting one, or kind of slightly more subtle, slightly subtler ones like tape, tube, germanium, so kind of things that are modeling preamps and that kind of thing. So it means you can have a bit of kind of softer stuff, maybe some tape or some tube, saturation on one side, and then on the other side you could go for something a bit crazier like bit inverting, say. It gets a bit crazy on the volume, the bit inversion. And then you could just like create a nice little blend of them. So that's the kind of essence of it. If you want, you can change the routing here. And again, you've got tons of different options. So you've got serial, where this will just run into that one. So you can stack up two distortions on top of each other. Or you can do things like use one to process one channel, one to process the other. Struggling to think of when I'd do that, but you never know. Mid-side, though, that could be very cool. I like it when we'll see a bit of this actually in later plugins as well, but I like it when you get a feature where you're like, God, I would have never thought to do that. And then, you know, you find out about it in the software and go, oh yeah, that suddenly you can think of all the possibilities of when you could use it. So that could be quite interesting. Yeah. Processing the mid and sides separately with different distortion.
100%.
Yeah. And yeah, and then you've got the master controls up the top. You've got separate filtering for each of these, by the way. You can see pre and post. So the pre is if you click on advanced, is just a selectable filter there with a couple of knobs. The post is slightly more kind of comprehensive control there. Some other cool features you've got here are some compression. And as well as having a regular compressor, you have a limiter and a multiband. The multiband has an OTT preset, so if you want to like really make sounds pop, then you can use that. I know everyone loves their OTT.
Rob, do you know what OTT stands for?
Over the top?
Yeah, I didn't know that till yesterday.
Oh, no?
I've been making music and using OTT presets on compressors for 20 years and did not know what OTT stood for until yesterday, listening to an unrelated podcast that had nothing to do with music production.
yeah, I've heard it used, as a phrase or abbreviation of one.
Rob, we've got a few questions if you think you can field some here.
I can try.
Question comes from, I believe, Beatport Twitch. Someone asked, when exporting loops from Loop Cloud, do all the effects come applied to the loops?
Yeah, so that's
It can hide us. Yeah. Okay.
that is your whether you drag out the processed or the original version. So with the export button, you can choose current mix, which should just be whatever you're hearing, original file, which should just be the original sample. If you're doing a lot down in the player, like we're doing here, sequencing one shots, chopping up loops, adding effects, all that kind of thing, then you have to drag out the processed version to get each one of these tracks turned into a loop with everything applied, which will include the effects.
Right. The effects, any editing you've done, anything.
Exactly, yeah. If you don't want those, then of course you just have to come in and turn them off.
Well,
if you've loaded up a pattern preset and you don't want them on there, you can turn them off and you can still get your.
Can you not just put original files or something, or without?
Well, if you've chopped up a loop, say like this one. And you want to keep it like this, so you want to keep it turned into a 1-bar loop with the start removed and all the rest of it, then you'd have to drag out the processed version of this still.
Right.
Whether it's the current track or just separate files for all tracks.
You could just drag one track at a time as well, like right from the track at the bottom into to Ableton Live, right?
Oh, these bits?
No. The track on the bottom. You got 8 tracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just drag that right into Ableton Live. Pretty sure.
God, is this another feature that passed me by? You can drag from there.
Yeah, try it. Let's try it. I mean, right here, right now.
Oh, actually, I found that drag on because I think it's because I've
got
you got to
do it. You got to do it like that. Yeah, there you go. It's right there. Boom. Boom goes the dynamite.
That's the
process
original
version.
Though?
No, it looks like the process. No.
Why have we got this? I think it's the original. Wait, let's check. We can check with the hat.
Yeah.
Ah,
there you go.
It is the process version.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's because I didn't turn off all the effects, so it's got like
the reverb
effects on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's another awesome effect. Oh, another feature. I mean. Yeah, nice.
So another cool way to do it, when we were talking about Sublab before, and I was saying you can drag and drop from Loop Cloud, you don't even need to load it into a track. If you just have, like, when you have your list of samples in one-shots, you could just drag and drop right from there. You don't even need to load it into a Loop Cloud track and, like, go through those extra steps. Just literally just drag and drop from anywhere, it feels like.
Yeah.
The power of Loop Cloud.
It's insane.
It really is. It's so great. Another question. Oh, that's just my friend Killian telling me I should have known what OTT was many moons ago.
I dig.
Do you think, or in your opinion, is Coldfire good on vocals?
I've got to be honest. I've not used it on vocals yet. This is one I got for this stream, so it's a new one in my collection. And,
I can feel this one, Rob.
Yeah, you do it.
So I have, I have sort of a just a running thing that's don't sleep on saturation. And the cool thing about Coldfire is obviously it's distortion, but a little distortion's friend is saturation, and you can definitely put just a bit of that on anything, including vocals, to make them sound better, fuller. Some might say richer, more colorful. So 100%. It's just depending on what you're going for. I mean, if you look at the presets there are just tons. There are vocal presets in the plugin itself. It's just a very robust distortion and saturation plugin that can go on anything, 100%, to answer your question, Miss Mega Videos.
Yeah. It's got tons. It's got the compression I said, the feedback as well. You've got like some crazy delay effects here, and because everything can be automated, like with this section down the bottom, where you've got envelopes and LFOs, so you just have to assign whatever you like to whatever you like here, so you could have this, this coming in and out. And you can, assign tons of stuff here, so when you load up the different presets, there's all sorts of like crazy and wonderful stuff in here. What else is interesting here? Error sensors. This one's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's like the beginning of some gnarly techno, I feel like.
Definitely. Yeah. So there's just so much to this plugin. But yeah, if you wanted to use it more gently, let's see what the vocal enhancer. So this is, yeah, it's just using a kind of lighter bit of thickening. So very subtle on this synth, but on a vocal which has a lot more frequencies in it, you're going to hear a lot more going on there.
Another cool thing about Coldfire is this is kind of like a new layout for Arturia, and they've just released EFX Fragments, which has a very similar layout to it. Obviously, that's granular effects, but if you're familiar with that, you'll be right at home with Coldfire and vice versa. And I'm assuming they're going to continue the trend with some more future style plugins coming out in the near future. So that's just another cool benefit of getting plugins from Arturia or someone like Arturia, is you feel right at home inside of these once you get a handle on one.
Nice. So there's one here I was going to load. So the next effect we're going to move on to. Are we ready to move on?
Okay? I'm always ready.
Okay, so the reason I've loaded this one up is because it's really raucous. So it gives us a lot more kind of frequencies to work with, which is important because the next plug that we're loading up here is the Moog Fuga one. So these are all like software modeled on classic Moog effects, which are all, I guess are they all pedals originally?
I believe they're all guitar pedals.
Well, guitar pedals, cool. Yeah, I mean, they look like them. You've got this active switch here. Oh, wait, I'm not looking at the right one, am I? It's this one. So,
okay.
Is it a bit raucous, by the way? Is that
no,
I've got smooth operator before it, just kind of taming it slightly. It's a very resonant effect. You know this one. It's the multiple resonant filter array. It's called, and
Murph.
it's one I didn't know as well when I first got these, and yeah, so I had to come in and kind of get to know this one a bit better, but it's a pretty interesting one. The others, by the way, are things like phasers and delays and things people might be a little bit more familiar with. But this one is kind of, it's a resonant filter bank that you can sequence to create interesting kind of patterns. But I like it because it's also got kind of panning effects as well, which you can turn off if you like. But so you can use it to shape the frequencies by having the different filter bands go up and down in various patterns. You can decide on the sort of duration of these different kind of hits based on the envelope dial here. It's probably better if I just show you. So if you listen to this, so there's our bands here, resonant bands. You've got two options here. You can either have the mids version selected where they're all just resonant bands across the spectrum. You have the bass one where they all go a little bit lower, and the bottom one becomes a low pass filter, so it lets the bottom end go through the effect. So if you're processing bass, you want to choose that one to make sure that you can hear the bass whilst getting these cool effects on top. Yeah, drive output, pretty self-explanatory there. We're getting that crunch. And then it's all about these bits, really. You can turn on these different patterns. Bit quiet, isn't it? and we're getting there. We're getting the different bands kind of coming in and out there. We can choose like the sort of, this is a bit like a gating control really. So you can make the steps kind of much shorter if you move it kind of this way. You can move it, make them shorter if you move it that way, but it works on a sort of attack basis. So you get more of a, almost like a kind of fade in there. Yeah, and if you, I'll load up some of these different presets so you can. What else we got here? There's a nice one, lots of panning going on there. If we go over to the settings area, this is where it gets kind of interesting because you can clear it and you can just create your own. Doesn't have to be stereo, you can take that off. So it's really fun for like creating your own kind of cool rhythmic patterns. Of course, it can be synchronized here. You can turn that on and off and then adjust the rate like so. And all of these effects just have a real kind of meaty analog sound. Don't you think, Josh?
100%. Another really cool thing is they can communicate with one another, so you can actually send out control voltages between the plugins to trigger automation between them. But this is one of my favorite of the bunch. I believe there's 7 in the Moog collection. This one's super cool. It's essentially like, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've got kind of almost like bands of frequency bands that we can then trigger on and off using that step sequencer, which you just showed us in the back. So it's just a really unique way to get some really interesting sounding effects on an otherwise, piece of robust frequency range audio. I just think it's really, really cool. 100%.
Yeah. I really like combining different ones together as well. So if you combine the, let's see what I've got on my original chain over here. If you combine the, combination of those two together, it's got that with that the additional sort of extra resonances that this phaser introduces as well. Just really,
it almost feels like it's half timing the arpeggio, no?
Because it's got a nice slow bit of LFO modulation. You mean the color?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so let's should we move on to the next effect in the chain? This one is an SSL.
It's the SSL Flexverb, yeah?
Yeah.
Which is currently, Killian will post it in the chat, but I think it's like between 80 and 89% off right now for Black Friday. Incredible reverb from an incredible manufacturer, and they're pretty much giving it away right now. So if you don't have it yet and you're looking for a new reverb, definitely check out the Flexverb.
Yeah, I mean, just get anything by SSL.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the, yeah. If you can, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, their hardware and now software are just have a really good sound. The bus compressor is standard. They have the native channel strip as well, which is really awesome.
Yep, guitar strip is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You'd have a difficult time finding a bad SSL plugin, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and the good thing about this one is you actually get other sort of SSL components with it. So it's not just the kind of reverb straight up, but you also have an EQ and a compressor as well. So which one should we listen to here? Yeah, we'll keep it on that one. So it's loaded up with the kind of default reverb here. You can see the different components here. If you want it to be a larger one or smaller, you can just select the different types, and you have a blend here to blend between whether you want just the early reflections, on one end, or just the tail on the other. So, the early reflections are just these very, very short, actually set to medium, so I could make them, even smaller. So it's really great for creating really, really kind of snappy, short, tight reverb, or you can have the tail in there as well to give you more of the room dimensions. And these are linked on a lot of presets, but you can also unlink them. So you could have a small room, but then with the tail being in a giant cave, and you could then blend those two kind of sounds together, which can be quite interesting. So, like I was saying, you've got a massive EQ here with a lot of bands, so we can come straight in and on fully wet here, so we can hear what it's doing.
Is that just really EQing the reverb tail, Rob?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, so we got 6 bands here, automatically set to the right useful kind of band types for you. High and low pass shelves, and then 2 parametric ones in the middle. And yeah, easy to edit, just dragging around on the display there. You can hear the difference there, taking them in and out. It can really, really help you clean up the sound to get rid of all those pokey resonances and unwanted bottom end and stuff. And yeah, really cool and useful, I think, to have this compressor here as well. Obviously, it's probably a bit too extreme there. Maybe pick a slightly different type here. I'll link them actually.
Hey Rob, while you're doing that, we've had a few questions on Flexverb, on Sublab, and on Coldfire, and that is, what have you experienced in terms of CPU usage with those? Are they CPU friendly, or any of them spiking the CPU a little bit more than you'd hope?
They are quite hungry, I would say. Yeah, they're pretty process intensive. I mean, I don't know how they compare with each other. Which ones are I can test it if you like here.
Well, I think in general, reverb is always going to be pretty intensive. And distortion, you're running essentially two distortion units at once. If you're throwing everything at the wall, it's going to make anyone's machine, feel it.
Yeah, I think probably the Moog Fuga is probably a little bit less potentially.
Lightweight,
but, but they all sound great. That's the thing. So there's going to be some kind of powerful processing going on.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta. That's exactly it. I mean, it's what it sounds like in the end, isn't it? As long as your computer isn't catching on fire, push it.
Yeah.
That's why you bought that CPU. Run it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So. So I'm loving the fact that you can just get in EQ, the reverb, make it sound exactly the way you want, shape the frequencies. You also have these multipliers, which are quite interesting, allow you to just pick up, these kind of separate bands, the lows, mids or highs. With two crossovers there to set which bit you want to focus on. Yeah, if you want to just pick up the frequencies quite dramatically in one part or drop them out completely. So,
nice.
Yeah, full control over the of the frequencies and also the dynamics. It's useful to have that actually, to be able to compress your reverb separately. It's not something you see that often on effects, and certainly not an SSL compressor. So there's Flexverb.
Nice.
Yeah, do we want to check out any other presets? They kind of all load up with.
It might be helpful to roll back on the dry wet mix as well, instead of
this allows you to just. I think it just it reloads it as 100% wet when you load a.
You can lock it, I think, right there with that lock button.
Oh, you can, I guess, yeah. But I think that is actually useful to have because it allows you to hear the reverb.
Oh, agreed. Yeah. So you can get the full character. I mean, that's something I do with all effects in general. Is I love to get the full idea of the character and what it's doing to the sound. But at the same time, a reason why it's usually like that on reverb, I think, is because usually reverb's going to be living on your return track, and it would just it need to be on 100% in general.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah. Yeah. So. Let's try the other sound. Notice that we have a very resonant kind of sound going on thanks to these effects. So it's making the fact that a bit of EQ is kind of probably a bit necessary to help clean it up. That's a nice clean one. Yeah, drum presets often sound great on these types of sounds.
Yep. Very percussive, I'd say that ARP is.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that is the last of the effects of the plugs from this project, and it's time to move on over to the other one then, I guess.
Okay, so I'll flip over to our webcams, and you can go ahead and set that up and send me the link. Everybody who's just tuning in, I think I said turning in. Anyone who's just tuning in, you're joining us for the Black Friday stream here on the Plugin Boutique YouTube channel. If you're watching somewhere else, we are broadcasting this to a lot of different places, including Beatport, Twitch, and Loopmasters, YouTube, and so on. Come over to the Plugin Boutique channel, be active in the community, with the community in the chat, and you might be able to win one of these plugins we're demoing today. We got 10 plugins lined up. That's a lot of plugins, Rob. I do appreciate you taking the time to do this, by the way. I do know that, getting through 3 plugins on a stream is difficult. Never mind trying to get through 10 and feel like you've, gone through everything, because there's no way you can. These are really robust, professional grade VSTs. There's no way you can get through everything. So I do appreciate you giving us the highlights and keeping the show moving as best you can.
All right, man. I mean, it's not like it's Black Friday week or anything. I've got nothing else going on. So,
definitely, by the way, go to pluginboutique.com, go to the deals page. It literally scrolls forever right now. I believe there's over 200 different deals, and inside of those deals, there's multiple plugins. It really is just a good time to be getting your plugins for the next year, I would say. Are you good, Rob? Did you...
Yes. Well, actually, no. One sec. I forgot to do the important step. Give me one sec.
Also, if you have any questions for me or Rob, just at Plugin Boutique on the Plugin Boutique YouTube channel, and we will try to get them answered here on the stream.
This is the important step. Just happened.
I've got it. Ding, 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 ding.
Okay, great.
Here we go.
Lovely stuff. Get rid of that.
Let's just do this real quick. Yep. Boom, boom, boom.
You can definitely hear that fan whirring away.
My fan? I don't have a fan.
No, mine. I can hear it like through the headphones.
Let's try some audio. All right. Did you start broadcasting with the listen to?
Yeah.
It's not on. It's not on.
Oh, I put it on the wrong channel. I'm sorry, man. Hang on. Which channel is it on here? Where's it gone? I'll just have to go through my channels here, find which one I've just put it on. It's on the random vocal channel. Now it's on the master. Here we go.
Got you.
Better?
Perfect. Yep.
Hey. Nice.
Well done.
All right. So, should we take a look at the next plugin?
What do we got? What's up next?
So we've got XO.
One of my faves.
Yeah, exactly. You should be doing this demo, really. I mean, so, I'm using it here in combination with this kind of trap beat I've got from Loop Cloud. So there's my kind of main drums. And then I thought it'd be nice to add a kind of percussion layer. There's a lot of stuff going on with this Fission that we're going to be getting to in a minute. Epic plugin, providing
100%.
you with all sorts of opportunities to process sounds in unique ways. Also a bit of FilterFreak from Soundtoys. So
I'm really digging that.
Out.
Can you show us what you've done in XO? Because that sounds great.
Well, that's what I'm going to show you. So we're going to actually just kill these for a second, open up a separate track. If this doesn't go well, because I'm just going to be randomizing and doing all sorts of experimenting, then we'll just go back to that one.
Okay.
But I thought as a sort of intro to XO for anyone who doesn't know it, we could just sort of create something here ourselves. But that kit that was playing was, if I click here on the presets, it was one called Liquid Percussion. This one here. And got some great percussion in, doesn't it?
That sounds like a flam, right? That sounds great.
Yeah, that's a really nice one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And once you've loaded up a preset and you want to check out how it sounds, you can just. Oh, so I didn't actually even change the preset. I just used it for the other one. Let's see if we can create something even better ourselves. If you click on the host sync instead of the manual on and off, then you can use the transport in your project to play it there. And let's say we just want to load in a few of our own sounds, maybe these 4 or 5 here. You can very kind of easily preview sounds from the kind of Australia shaped cloud here.
It actually does look kind of like Australia, doesn't it?
I don't know whether I see Australia or a sort of dodo's head more. I'm seeing like a dodo head as well there. I don't know if you...
I don't see that one.
Beak here. Beak
oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah,
now you said it.
Yeah. So, oh, that was nice. So
Yep.
Once you found a sound you like, you load it up to any one of these pads here that way, and then just maybe load that one in there. I'm going to be a bit random. We can kind of always change it later. That one was actually good, wasn't it?
Yeah, the default library that comes with XO is phenomenal.
That
You
one's
know, you
good.
can really tell they didn't just throw some random stuff in it. Like all the sounds sound just such that the quality. You know what I'm saying? They all sound absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and great for kind of hip hop trap sort of stuff that wants those kind of cool sounding, interesting, kind of whoop,
Yep.
poppy, snappy sounds. Um, so yeah, so this is where you, as you can see, select all the different sounds and map them onto the different drum kind of slots here, and then the edit section is where you can shape them all and also work out their patterns. So we could do it all manually if we wanted to. Let's just get rid of this for a sec. Actually, it's sounding pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what I love about it. I mean, because they're all such high quality sounds, if you kind of, especially if you're just working with percussion, if you make it fairly sparse, you know what I mean? It's going to sound good 9 times out of 10, I'd say.
Yeah. Sounded quite nice.
Yes.
We'll get to the bass in a minute, though. So, yeah, I mean, we could keep it like that, or we could just get in and start experimenting if you wanted to. You might want to sort of save it if you find a good combination and you like it, because what you can do now is you can come into the beat combiner and sample combiner, and you can kind of randomize everything and just try out different stuff and see what happens. On this side, you've got the ability to randomize. You can do it manually as well. So yeah, experiment there, even randomize if you like. Yeah, loads of fun. And you can mess with the patterns too. Both of these sections have their own individual lock switches as well, though. So if you like a particular sound, you know, you can lock it. And the same thing with the pattern, or we can just get in and quite nice. Let's go with that. It's interesting. Yeah, so tons of fun. You can obviously keep the sounds in here, or you can export them. If you click on export and then render the WAVs, then it will give you your separate loops. Some of them obviously didn't even sequence there, only using a few sounds. And then you can just drag out the individual drum kind of loops or the whole drum loop from there.
Or the MIDI. I love
MIDI.
XO's export functionality. I mean, it gives you the processed one shot if you've added filters or you change the start position, and there's the tone parameter as well, the velocity, and then it will also give you the loop, and then it will also give you the mix down and the MIDI. I mean, it really just gives you everything you want, which is all drag and droppable. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. So loads of fun there.
Someone, Aaron Brito is wondering if the XO can handle melodic sounds.
Do you use it for melodic sounds?
It's not my go-to, but you definitely have some melodic one shots available, and anything you want to throw in it, you absolutely can. You would then need to go in and hand tune everything to keep it in key, but it definitely does have some bits in there, and it definitely can handle it. I would say it's not where it excel, but it might if you bring in like just a bunch of note like C one shots or something, and then just randomize and messed around with a bunch of stuff, and then tuned from there. That might be a way to approach it. I'd actually probably get some really cool sounds. Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, for percussion lines, for interesting kind of, you know, to get going really quickly with really cool sounding supporting percussion, which is sometimes the areas I think people struggle with most, because main drums, you know what you're doing, you know, you can copy those patterns more easily. But the percussion is where you need to get a bit more experimental, and it's great to have some tools to allow you to do that.
Yeah, another great one for that is Playbeat from Audio Modern, which is also on sale right now for Black Friday on Plugin Boutique. That's another one-shot kind of pattern creator, and it does it really intelligently. You got a lot of adjustable parameters to kind of guide it in the right way, but it will definitely spit out a ton of really great percussion lines for any type of genre that you might be producing. That's a really good shout. I would say XO and Playbeat primarily I would use for the accompanying percussion to an otherwise solid foundation that I would have programmed myself, played out on some pads, or gotten from LoopCloud or something.
Nice. Should we hear those the effects that you wanted to hear?
Yes.
So FilterFreak, which we'll get onto shortly, another one for shaping frequencies. It's got this drum pumper.
It's adding so much.
Yeah, it just kind of really boosts the highs on the, you can see what it's doing here, on the kind of body and the latter portion of the sound. So after that transient's passed, we're getting that, it's a pumping effect. So we're getting the higher frequencies really boosted kind of in between hits, which is filling out the sound a hell of a lot. And then Fission, which we're about to move on to actually, is then processing the dynamics on the two different components, the transients and the body separately, which is what this plugin does. Should we move on to that actually?
Yeah, we go wherever you want. You're the driver of this car, Rob.
Okay, well here's the combination of those anyway. So yeah, really nice for not just creating those interesting rhythms and percussion and textures, but also kind of a much fatter sound with this additional processing as well. So let's check out Fission on the main drums, so I can show you kind of what it does. It helps that it loads up with this little, bit of information letting you know what the plugin is, and also recommending some different things that you might like to try, because this is not something that I've seen before, really. I mean, they had Split EQ came out, and that was the first that I'd really seen of that type of processing. So actually getting full control over the frequencies of the transients and the body kind of separately.
Yeah.
But you're a fan of that as well, right?
A huge fan. And I really love that it's two separate plugins. One, I would say Split EQ is more of a really surgical and precision plugin where I'm going in and I'm very focused on what I'm trying to accomplish, and it helps me get things done in terms of shaping, panning, and so forth of transients versus tonal or sustained bits separately. And then Fission, or Fission, I keep saying Fission, it's actually Fission, does a really great job. It's just super creative. The fact that you can apply effects to the transients or the body, as you said, the sustained portion separately. So you can get some really, really interesting stuff from what might be a dull or, something a little boring in terms of a loop. You can really add some pizzazz. Is that a word? That's got to be a word.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just super creative, and I've had a lot of fun when I've had hands-on with it, applying those effects, particularly to the transient bits, just adding a little bit of reverb to the high end. Another cool thing, we had a gentleman from Eventide come on who I believe worked on the project for Fission, and there's delays and reverbs for both the transients and the tonal sections, but those are actually different algorithms that are tailored specifically for transients or the sustained portion. So It's one of those cool things where it's difficult to get something to sound bad, I would say.
Yeah. So, for example, then at the top here we have the transient effects, and down the bottom the tonal ones, and you can check out these individual sections by soloing them. If it's turned on. At the moment we got delay. Let's just set it to dynamics for a minute and bring the threshold up. So you can hear that's just the kind of transient first part. And you can fine tune it here. You can really kind of pull it in. So it's just the very first part. And then down at the bottom, we have the body, which again has a bit of delay on right now. So what we could do, for instance, is, add just a bit of reverb to the transients, say. So we can still keep it nice and punchy. And of course we can then, turn that up a bit if we need. And then the body, meanwhile, maybe we have quite a bit more reverb. Not that long though. All these gains down a little bit, so we're not kind of overloading. Pretty nice, right? You can have a much longer kind of reverb, give it a lot more of a sense of space, but because you're only applying it to the body there, then the drums stay really kind of tight and punchy and in your face, because those transients only have the lighter processing there. So it's a really awesome thing to be able to do, and it's not something I've done before, so it's something I'm going to be doing a lot from now on.
Yeah, so many applications, so many really creative applications with Fission. You know, vocals is another one that really stands out to me as a great way to.
Yep.
I also want to say that drum beat is actually fire. I don't know. Is that from Loop Cloud or?
Yeah, it's Singo Makers or Dabro. I think it's one of those guys. Two of my go-tos for those sorts of beats generally.
Like, yeah, Singo Makers crushes.
Seriously heavy drums.
Yeah.
So we got this guitar loop. I can show you another example here. So what we could have with this one, say...
Can you just slide it over to the left a little bit? The UI?
This one?
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Oh, sorry, I can't see what's...
It's okay.
Are we up here or something?
We're on the middle of the right, on the right-hand side, where the plugin is absolutely 100% visible now. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so soloing this one then. We got the real plucky sound of the guitar. We could have a reverb or a delay just on that bit. Go for a reverb maybe. And then on the body, we could go for something like, chorus.
That sounds really good on that.
Yeah. another good example there. In fact, that is one of the ones that they recommend when you first load up the plugin. So that's one I totally pinched from there. It's like, oh, okay, I'll give that a go. So yeah, just another great example of the sorts of things you can do. I've I've come up with my own one on the vocal that we'll look at in a moment. We've got another plugin in the meantime, though, which I'm using here on the bass. Actually, let's keep processing our guitar though. We'll add it to that first. Is this the? Yeah, it's a Lifeline console.
Nice, big fan.
Yeah, so yeah, another great plugin for. Well, it's a channel strip basically with some really nice analog modeling components, particularly for adding those really pleasant artifacts, for example, tape and vinyl effects to kind of give something a hell of a lot more character. You've got the different sections here. You've got a preamp stage. Let's just sort of run you through them a little bit. A kind of preamp stage just for, if you want driving it up a little bit, changing the tonal quality. An EQ for shaping the frequencies. All of these have simplified or more advanced displays where you can get more into the fine editing. You got a bit of compression. It's all kind of quite sustained, so it's a bit difficult to show off any compression there, but yeah, compression there. We've got, and here are the kind of most exciting ones perhaps in the effect, or the most particularly unique ones, and the ones that I go to for the plugin most, and it's these modulation and wear devices. And one is a little bit subtler than the other. The modulation one creates kind of more subtle fluctuations in I think pitch. Yeah. So we got a little bit of wow going on there. So you can hardly hear it really, but it's going up and down very, very slowly. Now it's getting a little bit crazier. You can hear some flutter going on as well. So we got the high frequency pitch wobbles as well as the low ones. And finally you got wear here, which can create all sorts of sort of noise and great artifacts. Having problems with that word today. Yeah, for kind of crunching it up, and particularly good again on very clean digital sounds if you want to make them sound like they've been sampled off vinyl or something like that. If I go to some of the guitar presets. Yeah, so that's console.
Love console.
Um,
Love Excite audio in general, I'd say.
yeah, I've got it on the sub, which I sort of previewed.
Ooh, that's filthy. Oh, that
So
sounds great.
we've got several effects on there. We've got Sublab, obviously, straight off the bat here, with its own distortion, kind of making it sound fat to start with.
Gucci
And
Gang.
then on
Is
top,
that a preset or did you modify that at all? Because I want to use that.
it's a preset.
Nice.
Yeah, you can go ahead and use that one. And then console has got this cassette drive, creating that kind of windy, noisy sound. Adding all that nice top end. And then, yeah, the SSL is applying some reverb with obviously all the bass rolled off, and we just got those highs. Giving it all that character and depth. So,
yeah, really well done on that one. What is it? Is this a project that can play like together? I'd love to hear
should
the
be able to.
composition.
There you go.
Nice.
Coming together. Let's move on to some vocals. And we're going to check out Auto-Tune Access from Antares. So I've got a couple of different vocals here. First of all, we got this slightly more kind of spoken one. I'm just looping this part for a minute. You actually play, the whole thing. If I was playing it normally. Like that. But I'm looping this part just so you can kind of hear what's going on. Oh, my dog's joining in. Oh. So, even kind of more spoken. Well, for starters, I'd probably give the plugin a bit of an intro to someone who has never heard of Auto-Tune, which is probably very few people these days. But you never know.
You never know.
No. And if you haven't heard of Auto-Tune, you will have heard Auto-Tune.
100%. Yeah.
We can guarantee that. It's the very distinct robotic voice kind of sound that has become a huge part of certain styles, and often used not just to get the pitch right, but for vocalists who want to get that character across as well.
Sound design.
I forgot. Can you remember I've forgotten the name of the guy. There was a producer who was slated for this, and then
T-Pain.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because
example.
It's a really good example, T-Pain, because he is a phenomenal singer. And what people don't, and they think that he can't sing and he's using autotune to make him be able to sing, but that's not the case. That was a completely artistic choice. I think, Cher was famously someone who used it. Reggaeton and the reggaeton scene, they were using it for a long time, but T-Pain was the one that really put it into the mainstream. And he got a bad rap for it. But he absolutely can sing. He can belt his heart out. And he just went for the artistic feel of what autotune can do when you push it to, its limits. And you kind of actually, Rob, a little bit of trivia for you. You have to sing incorrectly, like on purpose, if you're a singer, to get autotune to sound like the traditional autotune.
To get it to fluctuate around
so
the right notes,
So you actually have to be a really good singer or a terrible one. There's no middle of the road there. It's great.
Yeah, well, you'll hear for the second vocal example I've got here, it's kind of ethnic, I don't know, possibly Indian sort of style one, and it deliberately kind of goes up and down in pitch. It sort of slides all over the place. So it's perfect for creating that effect as basically auto-tune slots it onto the different pitches. So, you know, it's really easy to use. You just have to select your key. So we're in B at the moment. And then make sure you get the scale right, whether it's minor or major. If it doesn't sound right, just try out the other one. And yeah, you can hear, even with this,
Shaitan my salvia, 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 shaitan.
So quite subtle, but just pulling each one of those steps, even ones that are occurring very quickly there, pulling them into the right notes of the scale.
Shaitan my salvia, shaitan my salvia, shaitan my salvia.
You've got the ability to humanize as well. If you want it to be totally kind of robotic sounding, I'll move on to this other example actually, so you can hear. So going all over the shop. If I pull it in, and we check it out actually without first. So a little loose. Obviously that last note completely not in the right key. But yeah, turn on auto tune and it's this fast retuning, it's the fast repitching that's creating the most artificial sound. So if you want a really obvious sound, set it to the fast mode there, and then as that pitch slides around, it will quickly snap to the different notes. Yeah. If you want to make it a little more human, you can boost this one, and it just gives it, I think, a little bit more slide. It's hard to know exactly what's actually happening, but it just makes it sound a little less kind of artificial and gives you a bit more of that expression. And that's kind of all there is to it. If you change the key, let's see, we're on, I can do it from here. Actually, I can do it from the other mode here. We've got these two here. So these two are in C. Then we just have to change auto tune as well. And then even without having to actually repitch the whole vocal, you can just change auto-tune. Obviously, the phrase isn't going to be quite the same.
Yeah, that's really pushing. I feel like that's having to work a lot more on C minor than whatever you had before. I didn't see.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd probably want to repitch the sample as well, rather than keeping the sample exactly the same. You could drop that, take that up a semitone as well, but. So I thought I'd show you my exciting processing I've got going on here, just because I think it's particularly interesting.
All right.
And it's using the Fission again.
Clearly, this is your new favorite toy. I mean, it's been in. It's on so many different tracks, and both of these projects. I'm pretty sure I saw it, the first one as well.
Yeah. We'll see. Some Soundtoys stuff as well that we've got on quite a few bits that, in a less obvious way. Soundtoys is awesome for giving you this extra body and fatness and really, really improving your mixes. But what I'm using Fission here for is something a little more radical. Again, I'm applying delay to the transient of the vocal. Quite a long delay, as you can hear. And then I've got a really spacious, distant reverb going on, a long one again on the body. And although I didn't mention it before, but you can obviously mix these two. So actually, a bit like with Spread EQ, just having the ability to actually just come in and shape the transients with the level controls is actually an awesome thing to be able to do on its own. But yeah, you can hear like what this effect does if I turn it on and off. Sorry, that's actually just the reverb. Let's add the delay back in as well.
Yeah, it's doing a lot there. Listening to it on its own, it's like you're not quite sure what it's going to be like, but once you drop in the beat and the sub there, it fits in rather nicely, I'd say. We got a question from Wes the G, and does Autotune only do mono?
So you mean, does it can it repitch notes in chords individually?
Yeah, polyphonic. I mean, yeah, the short answer is no. Yeah, it's just monophonic.
No. yeah. That version at least. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're looking to do polyphonic pitch manipulation, you want to check out Melodyne. I don't know if you can, even in the more advanced versions of Autotune, if polyphonic is possible. Maybe if Killian listening in the chat, if he can find out for me, but I don't think it is. I could be wrong though.
Awesome. So, is there a time limit to this stream, by the way? I noticed that
we are coming up on 2 hours, I think.
Okay.
So, I mean, how many more plugins do we have to get?
There's only two. We're just gonna look at some Soundtoys stuff, and we've already seen FilterFreak. And we could maybe look at that in a tiny bit more detail again, and then I thought we'd look at sort of Radiator and Decapitator a little bit too, because they're
great.
They're awesome. Yeah. So the vocal, for instance, it sounds great, and loading up the vocal warmer preset on it though just lifts it so much. Like many instances where I've used Soundtoys stuff, either Radiator normally if I want it to be a bit subtler, or Decapitator, as the name suggests.
Yeah,
if you want to be
I was gonna say
more kind of full on. But just check out the difference with. Take off Fission for a sec, maybe that's. I'm running it a little bit hot, maybe.
A little bit hot? I mean, that needle's buried, my friend.
Yeah. Thing is, now I'm messing with the input and output, so it's going to be quite difficult to hear it. It's going to jump down in level. But the combination just really lifts it up, and it's amazing on everything. We could go back to our drums. You can add it to drums. It's lovely on drums. Decapitator is my personal favorite though. Generally for drums, you got some really good drum fattener presets in there. I think this one is my favorite on these. These drums are actually already quite full-bodied, though. That's the only thing there. When you've got loads of layering and loads of individual processing on each of the drums, the effect won't be as dramatic. But when I add it to some drum lines I've made where I haven't processed it as heavily, it just adds so much extra weight and fills it out so much more in a really, really pleasing way, which is why I absolutely love it.
I mean, it's one of if not the most popular Soundtoys plugins, and Soundtoys is an incredibly popular manufacturer. So you are not alone in that. It just does so much to not only color the sound, but really push a sound into the forefront if that's what you're looking to do. It's super versatile, I would say, and you got the punish button, which is just when you're really that's that.
Should we listen to the punish?
Yeah.
I see my CPU starting to spike a little bit there. You've got control over the tone, so you can push it brighter or darker. You can remove the bass or the highs, so you got 2 filter options there. That's insane.
Well, yeah, I mean that's it. The idea with that punish is, and really with all is to really push it and then roll back on that mix, and then you're just getting that little bit of crunchiness on top of the snare and the kick, and it just sounds fantastic. Yeah. Also, just quickly to mention that auto-tune, from what we gather, is just monophonic at this point. So if you're looking for polyphonic, you're going to need Melodyne, one of the more advanced copies of Melodyne, which is also on sale right now on Plugin Boutique. So maybe Killian will throw a link in the chat if you're interested. Wes the G.
Nice. So Decapitator, awesome. Radiator, stick Radiator on everything. Try it out. Maybe don't push it quite as hard as I was, unless you want it to really crunch up. but yeah, really, really lifts sounds in your project. So you can see why it's so popular. And I thought we'd just look a little bit at FilterFreak, another fun one. We've got so I've got a little bit of kind of notch filtering going on here, which is a nice thing to do when you've got a big full sound like this. Just to pull out some of the frequencies, have them moving around. Oh, mouse battery. How low? 9%. It's ages.
Remind me to never go on a road trip with you. Oh, the last tick on the gas is 120 miles at least.
I am one of those people. I literally am. I'm like, we'll easily find a garage in 5 kilometers. Yeah.
Well, perhaps we just check out maybe Ozone before your mouse dies, and we're
okay. Are we done? You don't want to see?
Well, I do. I just don't want you to lose all functionality.
Oh no, it's going to be here. Besides which, there are batteries, at hand if I need them.
Okay.
So yeah, if I drag out, actually, I'll just do FilterFreak 1. It's like a single band one. It's going to be quick here. We all know what a filter, or most of us probably know what a filter does. You've just got the ability with this low pass here to cut out the high frequencies in increasing amounts and color it up with the resonance. Or we can select a different one like bandpass here. To kind of cut things out a little bit more abruptly. And you have the ability to modulate it with this one. That seems to be doing it almost randomly, but it's actually acting on the level here using the envelope. So as the level's going up and down, it's changing the amount of modulation of the filter to create different effects. So that can be fun, keeping it on envelope. You can also change it to one of the many other modes here, like random, say. Turning off smoothing with random will allow us to create a kind of fast pattern here. Let's go for maybe 8. Let's lose some of these other sounds. It sounds better on regular 16ths there. You'd actually make a bass to go with these chords. You get the idea. Loads of fun with FilterFreak, and FilterFreak there you've got 2 separate filters as well, so you can create combined effects within the one plugin. So it's another great one. But again, all the Soundtoys stuff.
Yep, and I believe the entire Soundtoys catalog is off by some percentage across the board, including some of my favorites. One of my favorite Soundtoys is Decapitator. Another one is Little Plate. The Plate Reverb sounds absolutely fantastic. I'm a huge fan. It lives in my default return reverb track in my Ableton Live.
Nice.
So
I think we better move on to Ozone then. Right. So I'm actually going to turn off some of these tracks and plugins, and I'll turn them all off because we don't need them anymore. But yeah, I'm just going to turn off some stuff because now we're literally just going to have a look at a track I've recently started working on. I just did a quick bounce of it for for this session. I probably don't need to turn everything off, but there you go. So here is the track. There you are.
New Drungle Breaks second export.
Yeah. I hope it's not going to be too loud. Let's see. I'll bring the gain down a bit so we've got a bit of room to play with here. All right. Because it's not a pre-master. I actually think I ran it out at 0 dBFS, so it's kind of a little bit running up against it. So it's kind of a dubby, jungly, breaksy kind of track.
Yeah, I'd say that's a mashup of a few different genres. It's got a groove to it, man. Let it play for a second.
Let's jump it in here.
That's Rob Jones original right there?
It is. It is a Rob Jones original.
Where can people check out your releases? Are you on Spotify and whatnot, or Beatport perhaps?
Depends what I release it under, but if it's a Silly Breaks thing, then it's normally under Anarchy Rice. So you can go to Beatport and check out Anarchy Rice, see what's been released. But it's been all sorts over the years, here and there. I'd say this is a slightly new direction. Probably I'm going a little bit kind of deeper and ruder, maybe, opposed to just mental. Like it used to be more like fidget and breaks and just all sorts of stuff. But yeah, this has got quite a nice. That's how it goes. I know. I'm sorry, pup. I know. Just give me.
The puppy has
longer.
been, rather forgiving for us being here for so long.
He's been incredibly patient. Does everyone want to see him? Normally, people want to meet the dog. Pup,
yeah.
Over here, pup. Yeah. Don't be shy. It's like, what are you doing? What the hell?
Oh,
there he is.
Adorable. And that is a very young puppy, it looks to be.
No, he's about 5.
Oh, really?
We'll be with you in a sec, Papa, right? Yeah. Yeah, no, he still looks kind of like a puppy, doesn't he? He's cute. So, yeah, let's look at Ozone then. So this is obviously completely unmastered. So I've got a couple of Ozones on the master here. And yeah, do we want to check out the assistant?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to start.
Yeah. I mean, the assistant's awesome because, you can just let Ozone do all the work for you. So although I do get a lot of beginners asking about mastering and how they're supposed to do it. And I normally say, look, just don't worry about mastering. When you're starting out, worry about mixing. And, the mastering can always come later. However, obviously you want your tracks to sound full and professional on, when you upload them to SoundCloud, ideally.
Yeah, I'd say for a beginner, it's focus on making good music. I've heard some like Diplo tracks. He doesn't mix at all. He is essentially Luca. What's Luca Petrozzi? I believe it is Luca. Some super famous mixing and mastering engineer. And Diplo, for example, will just send the idea like it's this a very well thought out, organized, and it's a night and day compared to what it sounds like when he gets it to where it ends up. So as long as the idea is solid, you've got a winner. And but I mean, the mastering assistant in Ozone and really a lot of isotope tools will help you achieve a better mix, better vocals, better literally everything. They've got such a great bunch of different suites of plugins, I would say. But if you're getting started, just make good music and then worry about Ozone afterwards. Yeah.
So what we might like to do if we just want to try out the assistant, see what the assistant thinks, we could play like a really loud part of the track, like the second drop. Oh, let's just turn it down a bit now. We've got the kind of lead coming in there as well. And we just open up the assistant and play it. turning it down in preparation there, by the way, in case it loads it and then slams it up.
Well, actually, Rob, I don't think you can do that. It will actually change. Like you can't. You gotta just let it play at a steady volume.
Oh.
Because
Really?
if you're changing the volume level right there, Ozone will listen to that as if it's a fluctuation in the dynamics of your track and adjust accordingly.
That's true, because it's not on this track, it's on the master.
Yeah,
that's very true. Has that just ruined it completely? Let's see what it's done anyway. Might be why the sort of dynamics are kind of turned up to the max here. It's like, oh, you've got a crazy dynamic range going on. Whoops. Yeah. Shall I do it again?
I think that's probably the best way to go forward. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll turn it back up to 0 then. And yeah, if you're listening on headphones and it's quite loud wherever you are, maybe just turn it down a touch.
You could always right there on the utility control, if you wanted to, you could turn down the gain.
Oh yeah, it's post. There it is. There it is. Good. Here we go. Relearn. Turning it on and off there, you can hear quite a big change. You know, something that I'll always notice, or almost always, is I don't have enough width. I don't have enough top end. Sometimes I don't have enough mids either, or certainly like crunch and body, I guess, kind of in the mids. And, you know, this can just fix all that. At the moment, it's used... Is it using Rock again? Yeah.
Can I get you just to slide that UI over to the left just a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Perfect. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah, so it uses targets. It kind of picks the style. It's chosen rock, but you can change it if you like to kind of EDM. And then it's trying to match the frequencies for that. So it's just kind of changing the overall tonality to be more in line with whatever kind of track they've got in there. Of course, if you want, you can add your own track. So if you have a reference,
have you checked out Audio Lens, Rob?
No.
So Audio Lens is a plugin Isotope just released recently where it will listen to any audio running through your computer. So if I went to Beatport, for example, and played a track on Beatport and let Audio Lens listen to that audio, it would automatically save the profile into Ozone, and then I could use that specific track that I just played as a preview on Beatport as a target inside of Ozone 10. You can also do that with Neutron as well for mixes. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's free as well. You kind of need Ozone or Neutron to make it go the distance, but it's absolutely phenomenal. And it's doing it checks out the EQ curve in general, but it also checks out microdynamics. It checks out loudness. It checks out width even now. So I mean, it really does listen for everything, and then you just slide it into Ozone, and it's almost like magic at this point.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. So it's doing that up here with the overall kind of EQ and shape. Um, Basically, it's sort of improving your width with the imager. You can see here. Not actually hearing that. Am I forgetting to solo something or? I obviously haven't used this mode enough. I actually normally do it on the manual one, but yeah, it's applying some imaging, stereo width improvements, and also compression and maximization as well. So you can just play around with these, just simple kind of macro controls, rather than getting into the more advanced kind of mode where you do it all yourself and add all the separate modules. But we'll have a look at that anyway. But yeah, you can obviously hear just how transformed the track is just from using the personal assistant. It's a great option if you don't know what you're doing. You can just get it tailored, personalized mastering for your specific music with just a few clicks of a mouse. It's crazy. But also, like a lot of the presets, they have some all-purpose mastering presets in here. In your face might be a good option. Enhanced depth is probably a good one for me, actually. It hasn't gone quite as nuts with the level, actually, with this one. One thing, actually, in the maximizer section, you do have the ability to set a LUFS amount. Some of you who know a little bit about mastering might, be quite obsessed with LUFS. A lot of people who want to make noisy EDM or bass music, they probably need to know a little bit more about this. But depending on what your genre is, you might want to increase this LUFS amount to, 8 or 9, perhaps. And when you do that, you can click Learn Threshold, and then it adjusts the maximizer to suit that. There you go, and it meets that target. It goes, well, this is how much we need to maximize your track in order to have this amount of noise, kind of loudness, overall loudness. So that's a pretty awesome little feature. You've got all sorts of stuff in here as well, though, with transient emphasis and all the rest as well. Imaging, just like with a lot of isotope stuff, you have multiband everything, multiband excitement, multiband stereo width. Particularly useful here because you don't want any or very little width at the bottom, and then you want to normally increase the width as you go up the spectrum. So you can see here something I've been in need of on my mix. Clearly hear the width in this example then. You can hear the massive difference that makes, to your mix. Listening to that, though, makes me think, well, I should probably go back and improve that before I get to the master chain. But yeah, it's awesome to be able to, make your mix that much bigger. One thing that's actually quite cool to try if you want to improve this is to, I don't know if this dynamics is really doing much. Not really. So I could add some vintage compression and just And instead, you can set it to mid-side mode, and you can compress the sides. So if we listen to that, well, it's telling me there's too much bass on my at the bottom for sure, which is something you should fix in the mix really, rather than a bass mono utility on your master chain. But apart from that, yeah, you can compress. Actually hearing that very well. Okay.
Oh.
Hearing that. Oh, it's because it's on the mid. Right. Whoops, I was doing the wrong one. Sorry, guys. Solo that. It's like, why the hell am I not hearing that? I was listening to the side whilst adjusting the mid control. So we can actually turn it off. Forget about that. Click on the side. We could actually bring the attack right down, and squash it, because we don't necessarily care about the transients that much at the sides. Just a little tip there. I hope you can kind of hear that. Obviously, it's something for the more advanced out there, but a little bit of vintage compression of the sides can really help to improve that stereo image as well.
Great tip.
Yeah. So I guess that's probably it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Rob. That was a incredibly in-depth look at, well, as far in-depth as we can get with that many plugins in this amount of time. Thank you very much for coming by. Thank you very much for doing it. It's been an absolute pleasure. And what we're going to do now to end this stream today is give away one copy of each of those plugins. What do you say?
I say let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, I've got to do some housekeeping here. Let me see. I'm just going to pull this up. I'm going to pull up the list of plugins that we went through. So, Rob, the way we do this now is we choose people at random who have been active in the chat and who have been a positive force, whether that's just being nice, commenting, or answering questions, or asking questions. And I've been fed 20 lucky random names, and you get to pick 10 of those people who are going to win. But we're doing this completely blind, completely random. You are going to choose 10 numbers between 1 and 20, and we're going to get those people plugins. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right, so go ahead, just start listing off some numbers, and I'm going to write them down, and we're going to get some people some plugins.
So you said 20 numbers between 1 and 10. Is that right?
Does that make sense?
No, there's 10 plugins. No, 10 between 1 and 20.
That's it. That's the one.
Okay. Okay. So we'll go with 17 to start. 1.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a very good one. We'll jump to 9.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Then I think we're going to go with 9 again.
I don't think you can
I
do that. No.
Oh, sorry. It has to be all unique. Okay, well then 7.
All right.
We'll go with 20.
20. Okay.
Legs 11.
11.
Very weird legs 10.
10.
This is bingo calling, by the way, in case
Okay. I have no idea what that.
Okay. What have we had? 2?
We haven't had 2.
No. How many have we got left?
We need 2 more.
2 more. All right. Well, let's go with 4.
4.
And then 15.
15.
Yes.
Okay. I do apologize, everybody. We've never had so many plugins to give away, so this is quite the process. All right, so XLNXO goes to Beyond. That's a really great username.
Yeah, awesome.
Congratulations. The Mogafoger bundle goes to Tony Mondragon. I'm probably saying that incorrectly. That's Tony Mondragon. Congratulations. You are the proud owner of the Mogafoger Effects bundle. Let me pull this over here. Yeah. And Flexverb goes to Be Loaded. Congratulations, Be Loaded. You are the proud owner of SSL's Flexverb. Antares Autotune goes to Pal, another really great username. That's P.A.L. Pal. Congratulations. Loop Cloud, 2 months of Loop Cloud plus Sublab is going to Miss Mega Videos. Good job. Excite Audio's Lifeline console is going to Tribal Logic. Congratulations. Rob, I wish you had a sound effect of some clapping. I've got it, but I just can't while I'm trying to get through.
Well, I could do it. Wait, I don't know if Loop Cloud's got applause. I'm going to search for it.
Soundtoys. We're going to be giving you Decapitator from Soundtoys, and the winner of that is Wes the G. Wes the G had a couple good questions coming in tonight. Next up, Sad Tuition is getting a copy of Arturia's Coldfire. Fantastic. Aaron Brito is getting a copy of Fission 2, Rob's new favorite plugin. Yeah, nice how you do it. That's great. And finally, the winner of Isotope Ozone 10 Standard is Uriel Flow. Hold on, I've got yeah. Do a fake clapping. Mine some clapping for me, Rob. Mine it. Hey, go ahead. Keep going. All right, that was a long list of people who won a long list of plugins. Congratulations to all the winners. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. Thanks to Rob Jones from Producertech come by and give us all of those demos. And thanks to Killian for running the chat. Thanks to all of the manufacturers for allowing us to give away those plugins. Go check out Plugin Boutique if you haven't already. Check out the deals page. It is an absolute must if you're into music production. Now is the time to stock up on your tools for next year. Nothing but great deals. Tons of great deals on the site right now. With that, Rob, I will let you get to it. I'm excited. I want to go check out the US-UK World Cup match that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Yes. And everybody else, we're going to leave a list of everybody who won and what you won in the first comment. We're going to pin it under this video. This will be archived for everyone to watch whenever you want. And all you need to do is email support@pluginboutique.com with your name, what you won, and a screenshot of you logged into your account here on YouTube, and we will get you sorted. But with that, Rob, thanks again. Everybody who's watching, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next live stream.
Keep on rising to the top.